Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So today I am going to talk about the books I have read in the month of March, which equates to I think 6 books, plus I'm in the middle of a book right now. Not too bad, pretty much an average month. I kind of petered out at the end. I was on a really good roll, but whatever. I don't even care anymore. It's just, I read 6 books. It's pretty good. So I did go on a bit of a Kindle binge a little bit. Read some on there. Read some library books, a whole variety, but it was fun. So first book I want to talk about is The Perfect Guests by Emma Rouse. This was one I randomly picked up at the library. I had been seeing it kind of all over Bookstagram more than I have around BookTube, so I was intrigued. It was written off as more of a thriller than it was. To me, it really read more of a mystery and more of a what happened than it was a thriller. So we have our main characters, we have dual timelines, and this really unique mansion that is on the outskirts of town where we have our family, and they're very secluded from the rest of the town, and we're trying to figure out why. And so we have our main character. She is unfortunately orphaned. Her parents passed away. She was put into an orphanage, and her aunt is really her caretaker but not around a whole lot. So her aunt ends up finding this family that would like a companion pretty much for their daughter, and so she goes and lives with them, and this is in the 1980s, so really some fun 1980s references. And then you kind of figure out that there's more to the story than there really is. And like I said, it read more of a mystery than it did thrillerish to me, but still a decent book. I gave it 3 stars just because it was a little slow at times, but 3 stars is still a fine book. I would still tell you to pick it up if you are interested in it. The next book I picked up was I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. And why did I wait so long to read this book? Now I'm gonna be honest, there was a point in this book where I was like, why am I reading this? And I almost put it down because the beginning is slow. It is a slow burn. And I was expecting, for the people who have given this 5 stars and the fact that Sarah has been throwing this book in my face for a while, I expected a little bit more from the beginning, to the point where I was even questioning what did you tell me to read? But then I got to the part, and then it was downhill from there. I think I finished in a day then, because I was like, what just happened? So this follows the story of a mom, Jenna Gray, as she is she moves to a really small cottage on the Welsh coast, trying to escape the memory of a horrific car accident that resulted in the loss of a child. I don't want to tell much more than that because it's fantastic and you should just read it. So gave it 4 stars. I did knock off a star because it was a little slow for me, but overall good book. Next one I picked up was They Did Bad Things by Lauren Forey. Honestly grabbed this because of the cover, because it's cool. And then the premise, which we're talking about a couple of timelines here, and we have a group of college-age kids staying together in a house. They didn't know each other before they basically became roommates, and one of them passes away and it was deemed an accident. Well, I think it was 20 years later, all of these kids are brought back to one creepy secluded manor on an island for different reasons. It has very big Agatha Christie and Then There Were None vibes to it. In fact, it even references it in the book, which I think I gave it props. It's not like it's not like she was trying to hide that this was a retelling of that story, but brings people together, and we start figuring out what exactly happened to that roommate that night. So very good book, definitely creepy at times. Did not see all of the twists and turns coming, so I love it when I get duped by a book. Fantastic. I gave that, what did I give that one? 4 stars. So definitely worth the read. Next one I did pick up for middle grade March was The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This follows a town that every year they sacrifice their youngest child into the woods basically for the witch so that the witch leaves them alone. I thought this was a little a little complex for a middle grade book. It was a little slower than I was expecting. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was still fine. I was just expecting something a little different, I guess. And then this put me in a middle grade slump. Like, I tried to pick up, I want to say 3 other middle grade books, and I just couldn't get into it. So fortunately for middle grade March, not the most successful for me this year because I only read the 1 book, but I'm glad I read it and got it done finally, because it's been sitting on my shelves forever, right? Another book I picked up was TheOne by John Mars. Picked this up on a whim, actually, because I watched another booktube video that I can't think of who it was, but that person didn't like it all that much, which is the first I have heard of that. I've heard so many people liking this book, and that I was surprised that they thought it was just okay. So then I'm like, my interest was piqued and I had to read it, and I don't know what they were talking about because this was fantastic. So the whole premise behind TheOne is that there is a piece of your DNA that will tell you who you are genetically matched with. And this was discovered. You can sign up, basically send in a DNA sample, sign up on this app, and they'll tell you who the one is for you. So it goes through a number of different scenarios of people who have done this and been matched. The most interesting storyline was the serial killer that got matched with the cop. That one kept me going. That was awesome. Although all of them were really interesting, and crazy stuff happened that I did not see happening at all. So, fantastic book. I gave it 5 stars. Now I need to watch the Netflix series. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then by far my favoriteest book of the entire month was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Like, contender for one of my favorite books of all time, honestly. So Addie LaRue is in a really not so great situation when she's, I want to say she was like 20, 21, something like that, living in the 1700s, supposed to marry this man that she didn't love, and so she starts praying to all the gods, like, somebody help me. And she was warned, never pray to the gods that come out in the dark. You can't trust them. Well, she mistakenly asks them for help, and she makes this deal that basically says she's allowed to live forever, but no one will ever remember her. So she lives for 300 years, and then one day someone remembers her. It's so beautifully written. Every page of this book is amazing. I loved the back and forth to, like, how she started figuring out how to live when no one's going to remember me in the 1700s, what she experiences throughout history, and then how she's navigating today's life. And she's in New York City, which I love books that are set obviously where I've been. So, like, she goes to the High Line. I've been to the High Line. All of that just made this book so unputdownable. It was fantastic. Pick that up. I even have a few tabs in it because it was so good. So, awesome book, 5 stars. Couldn't put that one down. Book I'm currently reading is A Gentleman in Moscow. I'm just barely scratching the surface of it, so I don't really have any thoughts on it so far. I don't know yet. I know I like the Count, and basically he's put on house arrest in this Russian hotel where he kind of witnesses Russian history being made before his eyes in the early 1900s. So, liking that so far. I got to get that done. Books for book club this month. What's on my list? I know for sure I have How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps the House by Sherry Jones. It takes place in Barbados and follows a man who is a petty thief but ends up going a little too far one night, and we go from there. So I'm excited about that one. I think the other book club books I have I'm really not interested in, so I don't think I'll read them. So I kind of have a wide open April to kind of just pick up whatever I want. So I don't know what that's going to be. Something back here. But I'll bring you along the way. I will let you know what I think. Otherwise, comment below. Let me know what you've read this month that you really enjoyed, and if you want to talk books. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And I will see you next time. Bye.